Oh boy, what it do, EWorld, Chriscrossingwires. So, yeah, unfortunately, not too good a day, cause I just kind of found out some bad news. Not terribly bad news, but anyway, bad news for me on why I haven't received my motor yet. It's obviously, and that's just my kind of luck. You know what I mean? My motor seems to be caught up in customs where it was, I guess it was on the same shipment as some illegal stuff that was being shipped, and unfortunately that has everything locked down. So anyway, that being said, don't look like I'm gonna be getting my motor no time soon, so plan B. But before plan B, I want to show this. Now, I posted this this picture right here, and I hope y'all can see that. Oh, shit. Now, reason why I'm about to talk about this now, because I might have to go back to battery building 101 and discuss something that I looked in some of my battery making videos to see if I ever discussed that, and I'm sure I did. I just couldn't find it. But let's just go over this real quick, because like I said, I posted this picture, and the reason why I posted it, because it was in a battery building group, and most of us battery building guys was like, what the F? Now, I posted this in the community section of my YouTube channel, and unfortunately I had somebody comment, what's wrong with it? This was basically their comment. What's wrong with it? Because I made a pack, and I did mine pretty much the same way, and I didn't have any problems, so what's wrong with it? Well, what's wrong with it, if you look here, okay, this green ring, outer ring, that is fish paper. That green circle is fish paper. Fish paper is an extra level of protection that keeps you from shorting out your cells, okay? Because these 21700s, even the 18650s, all right, if you look at them, and I'm gonna take you outside and show you, they have a plastic covering on them, okay? The plastic covering covers the entire outer casing of the battery, and also overlaps the top of the positive side of the cell. Now, this is the positive side of the cell, because there, right in the center, is the main positive, okay? Now, around the edges of the positive side, that is actually negative. Where the green fish paper is, if we were to remove that green fish paper, there's a plastic ring, and there's also plastic wrapping from the cell that covers the negative part, and that's what keeps it from shorting out, is that insulation around the sides, okay? Now, the reason why these cells are somewhat dangerous sometimes is because the positive is that close to the negative. It's that close. Now, like I said, around that area, there's the, you know, this is a negative side. These cells right here are negative facing up. These cells are positive facing up. So on the bottom side of the cell, the negative side, it's all metal. That entire area is negative. All right, but on the positive side, the center is positive. All right, so if you were to touch the center to the outer negative, that would be a dead short. Now, like I said, once again, that fish paper around the outside, that is an extra level of protection. As you can see, this person welded all across the whole top of the cell. You can look at the piece of nickel strip right there. You can even see the burn marks. Luckily, their welder was not strong enough that it did not burn all the way through the fish paper and the plastic ring, as both of those, both of those levels of protection did their job. They kept the weld from going through to the metal underneath. That is what's wrong with this. Now, the reason why I know they didn't know that is because they said it's easy to weld that. All you have to do, now you can go back in my community section and look at this comment. I'm sorry, guy, I gotta put you on blast, but obviously, maybe you're not the only one that doesn't know this, but we're gonna make sure people know it now. Now, you said in your comment, it's easy to do. All you have to do is weld the top, then the bottom, and this is what he meant. Weld the top, so there on the green, then the bottom, then the sides. That's where he welded his at. He said, I welded the top, the bottom, then the sides, and my battery is working fine. Well, it's working fine for now. Now, obviously, you sound like you didn't weld in the middle at all. So what's happening is your nickel is probably sticking to that plastic and that fish paper because you welded on it. So it's holding that piece of nickel so it touches the positive, right? But without welding through to the positive, eventually that's going to oxidize underneath of the nickel, and it's not going to be making a solid connection. So after riding around and vibration and bumping around, eventually this area of positive is not going to make good connection with the nickel. So you're going to have cells popping in and out of connection at some point. It's nice and fresh now, but over time, with moisture and cold and bumping around, like I said, you're going to lose connection. Now, you're lucky, like I said, it didn't dead short. But you definitely don't have a good, secure, physical connection if you did not weld in the center. Now, I'm just taking your comment of how you said. You said you welded the top, then the bottom, then the sides. If you did that, you did not weld the center at all, which is the positive, and you you welded around the outside. All right, so enough of that. I'm sorry I go on and on when I'm explaining stuff, but that's what you got to do, so people fully understand what you're talking about. And that's that's why people like my channel, because I go in depth on explaining things. All right, so let's go out here and take a look at some cells. And there go the baddest emoto in the land. Yeah, it is that. Trust and believe me. And I'll discuss once again as to why I prefer direct drives over mid drives, and that comes down to gearing, because with a mid drive you got to make a choice as far as gearing. Either you want a lot of torque for acceleration, or you want higher RPMs for higher top speed. Because we don't have transmissions that can switch gears at this point, most people have to choose. Do they want high top speed or faster acceleration? Direct drive, you get it all, especially if you got enough power to get torque at the same time. Normally mid drives have more torque because a mid drive takes less power. If you have a little sprocket up front and a big sprocket in the rear, you can get a lot of torque. And a direct drive takes a lot more power to get torque, But if you have a lot more power, then you have both torque and high RPMs. So direct drives are one size fit all. All right, now let's take a look. This is a cell, Millicell P42. Actually, I already had one that I prepared right here. Let me sit this camera down. All right, now this is a Millicell P42 with the wrapper on. This is a Millicell P42 with the wrapper off. As you can see, the outer casing is all metal. This is the positive side, this is the negative side. So the entire outer casing of this cell is negative. All of that is negative. So even on the top, the rim around that edge, that metal is negative. All right, so the guy you were welding around on the negative. Now I kept the center ring. Now when that wrapper is on, this is a plastic ring that goes over top also. All right, that plastic ring right there. So you have the wrapper, you have this plastic ring, and then you have the fish paper that you put over top for an extra level of protection. So if you were welding on the top, on the bottom, and on the sides, like you said, you're welding right close to that metal ring around the side that is negative. You weren't welding onto the actual positive part of the battery. That's what's wrong with it. All right, enough of that. Shouldn't have to dwell on that for a long period of time, but I wanted to get that straight. Okay, so now what I'm going to do today, something I said I was going to do, but then I didn't do it because I was waiting on my motor. Now that my motor is being delayed, now I'm going to force myself to put some bigger phase wires on that motor. Now that little 3,000 watt motor that I have has what I call the oodle of noodle phase wires, and actually these are bigger. Look how skinny they are, but they're bigger than the phase wires that's on that. Actually, let's see, I think this motor right here probably has the same size phase wires. I think that's still bigger than the ones I have. You can't really tell, but there's a difference between let's see, yeah, there's a difference between these and these other ones. But however, I'm going to take, this is a NB Power 5 kilowatt motor. Here's the covering for it, the case for it. Now this NB Power is like I tell people all the time, QS makes a lot of motors for different manufacturers, and some of their motors are exactly the same on the inside. Now I don't have a QS one open to compare. Now don't get me wrong, NB Power has a lot of different motors, different level of motors, as far as cheaper economy motors, and then their top of the line expensive motors. This is one of NB Power's top of the line motors. Reason why is because the stator on the inside is made out of aluminum. They're cheaper, less expensive motors, the stator is made out of metal. Reason why they do that is for weight reduction. Not only that, the magnets that's in this motor are 50H. See right there, 50H. 50H, that means they're 50 millimeters long. That's how long these magnets are that go around the outer casing. All right, not only that, the stator, the width of the stator in this motor is 50 millimeters. Okay, that's what the 50H stands for. This motor right here, that's a 2000 watt motor, and that's because it has a 35H magnets in it. The motor that's on my bike is 40H, has 40 millimeter magnets. Like I said, this 5 kilowatt, the 5 kilowatt and the 8 kilowatt have the same size everything, but different, you know, thicker phase wires. Anyway, back to this. I'm going to use these phase wires on this 5 kilowatt motor, and the reason being is because they still have oodles and noodles, but they have two dual sets on each phase. So with dual wires, you know, that will give you double the amps. So my motor has a single set of these oodles or noodles and this has a double set. Now the reason why I call them oodles or noodles, let me show you what some real phase wires look like. I could have showed you in the beast in there, but I can show you on this motor. See, this is 6 gauge. These are 6 gauge phase wires. See how thick they are? They're nice and thick. That's for high current. The more current that can go through your phase wires, the more power you can transmit to your motor. Okay, so with these little teeny tiny oodles and noodles, and like I said, the other ones are actually a little bit thinner than these, you can't send a lot of current through there. So I believe this cable will actually fit in my motor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all that out, remove all that silicone, and I'm going to put this set with the double noodles in my motor. That way I'll be able to increase the phase amps. Right now I can only run about 450 phase amps through those oodles and noodles, and that is pushing it. To be honest, I have it set to 450, but I honestly can't even push the whole 450 through there. When I full throttle, it bogs the motor down. The motor's not bogging down, but it's oversaturating those phase wires with too much current, so there's a voltage drop, and that causes the motor to sputter out a little bit. So once I double those phase wires, we should definitely be able to get that 450. In fact, I'll probably bump it up to 550 after that. Maybe even try to get away with 6. If I can get 600 phase amps, 650 phase amps, that would be great. And I should be able to get that out of these because that's a 5 kilowatt motor. So this should handle 650 phase amps, hopefully. But yeah, that's what we're going to do today. So while I won't film all of that, yeah, I'm not going to film all of that. It's going to take too long. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. And I got to put some hall sensors in those motors. And I got another motor that may be on the way that I got to put some hall sensors in. So that's what we got planned. Also, I got a controller up here I gotta check out, and it's funny because this controller right here is the same kind of controller that I used to recommend for bikes like Super 73s and Zugos like Frank. This is the same type of controller that I had on Frank, and to be honest, for the money, this is a really good controller. This controller, you can get it on Amazon for about 70 bucks. Now, the company that branded mine was named Hyundai. You can find that in Amazon. And like I said, that controller cost 70 bucks. Mine was a 45 amp. That's an 80 amp controller. I have an 80 amp as well. Okay, this is the 80 amp. That's the 45 amp. 45 amps makes a big difference in those little small bikes, because they're normally like 20. The factory controllers that come on those bikes are like this. They're like 25 amps. So when you go to 45 amps, that obviously makes a big difference. 45 amps and 72 volts. This little controller will actually take 72 volts. So yeah, anyway, yeah, that's what it is. All right, y'all, take it easy, take care. But the whole point of this video was about the positive and negative area of these cells. Like I said, that's the bottom side. That whole area is negative. So when you weld on the bottom of these cells, you can weld anywhere. You can weld anywhere on the negative part, but when you're welding on the positive side, you only should be welding in the center. You know, you can put 4 welds right in the center and you're good. You just go ham and you weld all over the top of that thing, you are taking a chance of welding straight through that fish paper and that plastic and shorting out that cell. And believe you me, if you do that, you are not gonna have a good day. All right, y'all, take it easy, take care, we out. Peace.